started, 4 or 5 years ago, I felt like the mature SaaS offerings for this were few and far between. Circle CI wasn't where it is today. We still recommend Codefresh regularly to our customers. It's been good for us. The differences between Codefresh and GitHub Actions, are arguably diminishing. Um, Codefresh, I would say, still has a better developer UX and visualization options, and has a lot of excellent documentation for how to get up and running and provide support. While if you go with like the GitHub Actions approach or some of the other things, you're going to be left, figuring it out yourself. Some providers like Spinnaker, there's Armory, a commercial backer behind it offering support, but I don't know if you'd get the same level of support. If you just picked up Argo CD, like you're not going to get commercial support for that.
Yeah, thank you.
When you mentioned Jenkins, back when you started talking about this, were you talking about I think it's the GitHub plugin, right? That you can set it up to scan an entire repository for Jenkins, or an entire organization for Jenkins files. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of when I said that.
I gotcha.
So it's not built into Jenkins. It is
of note is that capability is only available for GitHub.
Oh,
no other CVS. Yeah. There's only the GitHub plugin does that.
Well, everyone who doesn't use GitHub is a contrarian, so I guess that's what joking. Yeah. All right. Any other questions on that topic?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry, please. Let me just ask real quick. Okay. So I just got a tax right now to actually use just AWS to do this whole CI/CD thing. I have used Jenkins in the past to do it, and I've been trying to get my head around. I saw some docs on how to just use code pipeline, code build, and checkout, because I'm going to be using I'm still going to be using GitHub, not the AWS rendered service integration and all of that. So it's kind of blurry. Like, how do I rearrange my whole Terraform to fit into this? The company is like, I want AWS. We want to go serverless, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, I might not be, I'm going to give a colored response to this. Like, I'm not a fan of the AWS CI/CD solution. So that's going to influence the way I answer this. Basically, what's nice about AWS CI/CD technologies, code build, code pipeline, code deploy, etc., is that there's really good IAC coverage for using them, and you can fit all of it together under one technology, one tool, Terraform, and run with it. But if you've used some of the other quote unquote modern CI/CD platforms out there, the developer experience is night and day difference and better with them. So I wouldn't like, AWS code commit, like I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. If you use it if you have to have like backups of GitHub somewhere for a compliance requirement or something, but don't use it as your primary source control system.
Oh no, I'm not going to use it. Go call me. I'm going to be using GitHub, so I'll just connect my GitHub to pipeline.
So when you go to Cloud Posse's GitHub, we will have modules and examples for how you can implement some of this stuff, but these are mostly maintained by our community and people who use them. We, as a company, use predominantly GitHub Actions or Codefresh. Anybody else have something more to add? Anybody I'd love to. Anybody a big fan actually of code build, code pipeline, and using it for everything?
I'm not going to call myself a big fan, but I have enjoyed using it recently for a project that's using ECS. And so the integration point is actually a push from GitHub. So code build looks for, it's connected to a webhook in GitHub. You push the repo, it triggers code build builds the image and stores it in ECR. That triggers a code pipeline, which triggers a code deploy, which does a blue-green deployment on an ECS cluster. And it's pretty slick. I mean, it just works kind of out of the box. And I should say out of the box is relative because it took a lot of Terraform to get it there. But after that was in place, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I wouldn't want to do what all that stuff is doing in a GitHub action or in a Circle CI or something like that. I bet you can. I'm sure you can, but I wouldn't want to do it.
So if we're talking about that workflow, the Cloud Posse Terraform AWS ECS web app will string that together for you. What my challenge is with some of this stuff is that, and this is not a problem unique to ECS, and I see people or companies do this with Kubernetes as well, is that the simplified look at continuous delivery is you're taking this image and moving it through a pipeline so that it ultimately goes through QA, UAT, staging, whatever, production. And if that works, that's great. But in reality, like when we deploy a new image, there's often a lot of other things that have to go along with it. Maybe it takes some new settings. Maybe it needs new configuration things for different environments. So deploying a container independent of its configuration and settings, I think is a oversimplification of the CI/CD process that a lot of companies need. For example, a common pattern in Kubernetes is, well, you'll push a new image to the repository, and then the cluster's looking for a new version of that image and then reloads it. But what if you need new config maps? What if the properties changed in the config maps? There are new secrets, all these other things. I don't see it working as a generalized pattern in the long run.
Yeah, you have to do database migrations.
You have to run database migrations.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Yeah, has anyone used
Aquabase,
AWS
maybe?
Copilot? Sorry.
Say that one more time.
Has anyone used these AWS Copilot to this?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mohammed, was it?
Yeah.
Do you want to share your experience with that?
Yeah, I use it actually, the code star family. So like code build, code deploy, and code pipeline for ECS blue green deployment, like Michael said. Only addition was cross account rules. So AWS is over abstract these, the pipeline here. If you need something like Eric said, like a more customization for your pipeline, you need something like Codefresh or Action or whatever CI/CD nowadays. But the AWS tools is way abstracted, more simpler, but it like hard to customize for your own needs. It's work pretty out of the box if you use something like this repo, the ECS web app. I think it's already there, but again, I'm thinking from my opinion is that changing your CI/CD is bad for you. So stick with something, even with Jenkins. If Jenkins work with you, stick with Jenkins, don't change it, because it's like moving from Terraform to CloudFormation. So that's bad. Yeah, that's my opinion.
There's something to be said there. It's like using the CI or CD platform that your engineering team wants to use and is comfortable with and will empower them, and not, this is a bad decision to come top down if nobody in the organization has an opinion like, you are strategically choosing code build, code pipeline because this is what your engineering team really wants to use, versus, Circle CI, Codefresh, GitHub Actions.
GitHub Actions has a pretty big community. Like, you can offload a lot of work to that community. There are so many actions that can save so much dev time and operations time. That's a big drop. That said, AWS also has an official GitHub action for running a code build job, I guess, step something. And I've been using that because you can get code build machines up to 200 something gigs of RAM. And that's perfect for like really high parallelism job or very intense work. You are double build, so you're build for both the GitHub Actions time and the code build time, but it's way easier than, for example, setting self-hosted GitHub Actions runners.
Yeah.
And just getting a code build up and running if you need something very, very powerful, is an awesome workflow. Yeah,
glad
it
you
should
brought
be
that
somewhere
up.
in there.
I'm glad you
I
brought
thought-
that up because we've
Yeah.
been using like the ECR login and the configure AWS credentials, GitHub action tasks. So this is a good resource if you want to use some of those. I'll share that in the channel.
Oh, thank you, because I was already saying you could share that.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. So let's move on. Get to another topic.